Well, hello there, everybody who's here to join us today. Here, I'm Rebecca Fuller, and today we have a special guest. And I'm super excited about this because I have known this person for many, many years, and this is exciting. I'm going to go ahead and bring her on the screen right now. This is a special flutist who is, well, I'll let her tell you all about it, and I'm really excited. So, first of all, I'd like to just say that I have worked with this is Alison Olsen, and I've worked with her many, many years ago, so many years ago when she was just a little girl and a very, very fine flutist right from the very beginning. And now she's off doing great things with her talent, and I'm so excited about that. And I thought it would be really fun to bring her on and interview her and let you know a little bit of the inside secret life of a professional flutist. And I think you'll really enjoy her today. So say hi, Alison.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. Nice
It's
to be
really,
here.
yeah, it's really great to have you here.
Yeah.
So, again, this is Alison Olsen, and I'm going to just let her tell you a little bit about herself, her background, so that you get an idea of who she is and why she's on here today.
Yeah. Like Rebecca said, I'm Alison Olsen. I'm a native of Utah, and I've known Rebecca since I was like 7 years old. I think I have judging sheets going back to like the mid 90s of when Rebecca was judging me back in the day. Yeah, so I studied flute with a teacher here in Utah until I went to college. I went to University of California, Santa Barbara, got my bachelor's degree in flute performance. And then uh, sorry about that.
Okay.
And then I went on to get my master's degree from the University of Texas in flute performance. And then once I graduated from the University of Texas, I moved back to Utah. I started teaching flute students. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Of course, it never rings except for right now. Anyways, I moved back to Utah, started a flute studio, started playing with some community groups, whoever would have me. And then I eventually took an audition for Ballet West, which is a professional ballet company in Utah, and won the principal flute position with them. So I've been playing with Ballet West I just finished my 7th season with them. Our season runs generally from the fall, about October through April. So there's periods of really busyness, periods of where it's not so busy. But that's what I'm doing now. So I'm teaching a little bit and I'm performing. I sub with groups that ask me to. I just subbed with the Utah Symphony a couple weeks ago. So that's what I'm doing now.
How awesome. Now, I just have to mention that this is a very prestigious position that Alison has. She kind of plays it down like, oh, yeah, I'm just playing with Ballet West. But the Ballet West Orchestra is very well known, and the work that they do in the Western United States here is incredible. It's amazing, and I can't wait for you to learn a little bit more about what Alison does there as a flutist. So I know that Allison, I know that getting into a group like this, a professional group like this, is not easy. And I'm wondering if you could kind of explain to us, kind of in a nutshell, the audition application type process, what you
Mm-hmm.
went through.
Yeah, so auditions like this don't come up very often. For flutists, there's only 2 or 3 flutes in any given professional orchestra. And so once you get those jobs, people tend to keep them,
Oh,
as
nice.
long as the music director is happy. And there's only a couple professional groups in Utah. So really, there's the Utah Symphony, and Ballet West is the next biggest orchestra in the state of Utah. So the audition came up. The woman that was retiring had been with the group for 30 years. Wonderful player, had studied with like Julius Baker and was a wonderful flutist, and she retired. And so the audition process is you send a resume to the committee. listing your education, your experience. From there, they ask you to come and audition in person. They give you a list of pieces or excerpts from the orchestral repertoire to play. Generally, they're pretty standard excerpts that are known in the orchestral world, flute solos, things like that. So we had a list of about 10 or 12 pieces that we were to play. And then when you go into the audition day, it's a blind audition. First of all, they assign you a number. So you no longer have a name. They give you a number. You're not allowed to speak. And when you go in, there's a panel or a sheet so that you can't see the audition panel.
Like an actual curtain.
Like a curtain, yes. Yeah.
It's like The Voice. They're only
Yes.
listening to
Exactly.
your flute playing, and they have no idea of anything else.
Right. And they only, turn their chair around at the very end when they select a winner. They want to be totally unbiased. And that's pretty much the case for, I'd say, the vast majority of professional auditions is that they're held blind because they don't want to know who it is, and they don't want to have a preconceived notion about what you look like, or maybe they even know who you are, and so they don't want to be biased in any way, if you're a man or a woman or things like that. So you go in, and which is great. It's wonderful that they do that, but it is intimidating to go in and just have this screen and you're playing to who knows how many people behind the screen. In my case, I think there were like 5 people behind the screen, but I'm not allowed to speak. You're not allowed to speak when you go into these auditions. The panel can speak to you if they want specific things, or they might ask you to do something again. But basically, the personnel manager of the orchestra is kind of the go-between between the panel and the person auditioning. So if I had any questions, or if I had an instrument problem, I could mention something to him quietly. So they give you a list of things to play, and they said, play it in this order. You just play everything down, and that's it. And then you leave the room, and then they hear everybody. So they do that process I think there were 8 of us that auditioned that day. So not a huge audition. For some of the bigger orchestras, you'll have hundreds of people submit resumes. So then after the first initial round, then the judges deliberate, the panel deliberates and decides who they want to hear again. And it's nerve-wracking because you're just sitting there, listening and waiting and trying to not be nervous and trying to not focus on all the little mistakes that you made. So then they come out and they announce who has advanced to the second round or to the final round. And so I advanced with 3 other flutists, and they asked us to play certain excerpts again.
Now, maybe you should stop for just a half a second.
Sure.
Explain what these excerpts are.
Yeah.
Because somebody listening right now to this has no idea what you mean by an excerpt.
Yeah. So excerpts are famous flute moments. It could be a solo, it could be an exposed ensemble thing from orchestral works. So, for example, like if you've ever listened to Daphnis and Chloe, it's a beautiful tone poem. It's actually a ballet by Ravel, and it's got this glorious, glorious flute solo in the middle of it. And that is often put on audition lists. Other really popular ones are A Midsummer's Night Dream, the Scherzo by Mendelssohn. Brahms 4, there's a big flute solo in that one, Symphony number 4. Other things are like, trying to even think, Beethoven, Leonore Overture, the opening of that, and there's a big solo in the middle. Dvorak, Symphony number 8, the 4th movement, there's a big flute solo. So lots of things like that. There's a book you can buy by Jeannie Baxdresser, who is a wonderful former principal flutist of the New York Philharmonic, where she's compiled a lot of these excerpts. They're all in a book. I've got it right here, actually. Looks like this, orchestral excerpts for flute. So a lot of them are in here. So if you ever take a professional audition, or are applying for college, or if you just want to know what these solos look like, you can buy this book. She has several of them. There's a book two, which has like the Harry Potter from Prisoner of Azkaban. There's a giant flute solo in that one that's incredible, and it's in that second book. There's a duet book with some second flute solos. There's a piccolo book. So
Basically, you have to know your excerpts before you go in. You're not going to go in and just play your own thing.
no,
To be
no.
auditioning on them, or even I think you mentioned the Mozart that you did
Yes,
audition with that
yes,
one as well.
yeah. Most of the time, they will ask for the Mozart G major concerto. Sometimes they'll give you a choice between the G major or the D major, but it seems like most people want the G major, just the exposition, just until the first, just the big solo at the beginning. It's
Mhm.
like a page and a half or something.
Yeah.
I haven't been asked to play a cadenza before on an audition, but it's not out of the realm of possibility to do
Yeah,
that too.
for
So
sure. So
it
it was
just,
a blind audition, and
Mhm.
then you clearly came out on top, which was really exciting to become a professional flutist who is going to get paid for her talent. So
Yes, very
awesome.
exciting. Yeah, I was shocked. I did not expect to win. I just went into it thinking I've got nothing to lose. This is a great opportunity, but there were some really great flutists that auditioned. And honestly, I thought I was no way I was going to win, that these other flutists were way more experienced, first of all, and really like great flutists. And had they been picked, they would have done a great job too. But you just never know what a conductor is looking for, what a music director is looking for. And had the audition been held on a different day, maybe they would have picked someone else too. You just never know. It's kind of you have to be as prepared as you can be, but it's a little bit of luck too.
Right. Well, but I know what you sound like, and you sound beautiful. You've always been a beautiful player. Of course, you learned like everybody else, step by step, all the way
Right,
through, and continued
right.
on. I'm guessing that people listening to this right now might be wondering what you play on. Can you tell us about your instrument?
Yes, sure. So I play on a 14 karat gold Miyazawa Boston Classic. It has silver keys, and then I have a Haynes head joint that I play on that's 14 karat gold with a platinum riser. So that's my current setup, and I love it. It's worked really well for
Are
me.
we going to get to meet your flute today?
Oh, sure.
This is exciting.
So this
Well,
is
yeah,
my
we'll get to this. Oh, look how beautiful. Oh
Yes,
my
this is
goodness.
my flute. I also have a Lafrique on here.
Okay.
That's a 14 karat gold plated silver Lafrique.
Let's explain Le Freak really quickly to anybody who's not sure what it is and why you particularly would need one on your flute. It's an
Yeah, so
addition.
this is fairly new to me. I just purchased it a few months ago. It's a sound bridge. So basically the idea is that our flutes come in pieces, and sometimes because of that, we have challenges as flutists that some things might not be super smooth. We might have breaks of the sound. So the idea is that this serves as a bridge between the head joint and the body of the flute, so that the vibration doesn't stop where the head joint enters the flute, that it goes from the head joint to the body of the flute. So I've found, since adding this to my setup, that I have a my intervals are a little bit more smooth. I find that I get a little bit more vibrancy in my sound, a
Right.
little bit more
More volume.
volume, definitely a little
Which you
louder.
need.
Yeah.
As a player in a pit orchestra, this is a
Mhm.
professional one, so I don't know if you necessarily call it the pit, but you
We
are
do.
playing in the pit for the ballet. So let's
Right.
explain that really quickly. So you are a player in the professional orchestra that plays kind of behind and under the scenes
Yes, it's a
for the
unique
profession,
situation.
right, for the professional ballet. So all the
Yeah.
ballet dancers are also professional, so this is a very prestigious setup, like we were mentioning
Mhm.
before. So it's exciting. But down there in the pit, do you ever actually get to see what's happening? above the
Not
stage?
very often, not very well. Our pit is, like you say, below the stage. And so when we're playing, my job is to play and to watch the music director because
Right.
he's got his eyes on the dancers above the stage and on us below the stage. So he's the go-between of making sure that we match up to whatever they're doing up on the stage. So if I ever have like long rests or something, I can sometimes crane my neck and try and see a
A
little
little
bit.
bit.
So if the dancers come to the front of the stage enough, I can sometimes see a little bit, but it's certainly not the full effect, which is kind of a bummer because I love the ballet. Before I had this job, like I would always go to the ballet every year. I'd go to every production that they put on. I love to watch
Nice.
dancers. It's amazing. Um, so that's just a drawback of the job is that we just have to kind of I can hear their feet, I can hear their leaps and their jumps and but I can't
That's
see
fun.
very much. I see them backstage in their beautiful costumes, but
It's such an important part of the works, though. Without the live music, it just
yeah,
doesn't have that sparkle to it, that live
yeah.
element. Live musicians, there's nothing like it, everybody.
Right,
There is nothing like
right,
listening to a live musician. I
right.
often say the music we hear on the radio and recorded is nice. It's very doctored up and kind of sterile, though, compared
Mhm.
to live music. So I'm
Right.
always putting a plug in to go make sure that you support other live musicians and especially
Right.
professional flutists. Oh my gosh, you're just
Yeah.
you're a flutie like the rest of us. We can fangirl with you. So I'm wondering if you could just tell us briefly what responsibilities you have when you're playing with the ballet. For example, this past season, what you might have been performing for and what
Yeah.
you had to play.
Yeah. So, um, my job as a professional flutist is to know the music. I have to know my part. I have to be prepared before I go to even the first rehearsal. We don't get too many rehearsals, actually. We only get like two or three orchestra readings is all before the dress rehearsals with the dancers. So we really have to know what we're doing. So our most recent ballet we did was Sleeping Beauty by Tchaikovsky,
Mm.
which is full of wonderful, beautiful flute moments. And another thing that is really helpful is to listen to it, listen to recordings, and to know how the flute part fits in to the rest of the orchestra and what the orchestra is doing.
Makes sense.
And then once we're in the pit, my job is to listen and to watch. I have
Focus.
to watch the conductor at all times, and I really have to listen in an orchestral setting. You know, we're soloists a lot of the times, but we're also chamber musicians. We really have to listen to who we're playing with. We might have a duet with an oboe, and we may have to make sure that I'm not playing too loud or too soft, that we balance, that we're in tune, and that we're coming across musically that what we would like to be doing, and to be listening to other things across the orchestra. Sometimes I need to listen to the basses if they've got the beats. If they're playing on all 1, 2, 3, 4, I have to make sure I stay right with them. So it's like a big puzzle piece. And you never know what's going to happen every night. Like you said, it's live music.
Yeah,
And
things
things
happen sometimes.
happen. And
Have
it's
you ever
different
had any
dancers.
have you ever had any little disasters?
Not to me personally, but like during Sleeping Beauty, I know a spindle got flung into the pit and landed on the
Oh,
harpist.
it landed on the harp player. Oh my
It
goodness.
landed on the harp player. So there are some occupational hazards about being in the pit that
You
you
wouldn't think so, but
wouldn't think.
that's funny.
So,
So do you
but
have
yeah,
any other favorites? I mean, no, you mentioned Sleeping Beauty, but do you have
yeah,
any other ballets that you have played for and performed for that you
yeah.
just love?
Yeah, I mean, I love Nutcracker. I know a lot of professional musicians hate Nutcracker because we play it so much. you play it. I just did 31 shows in December of Nutcracker. I did it 31 times.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It was probably too much. I probably shouldn't do that much again.
I love it. No, it's
But,
very, very
but it's
important.
beautiful music. There's a reason why it's so popular. There's a
Yes.
reason why it sells out. There's a reason why it's such a tradition all over the world, really.
Right.
So I love it. I think it's super fun because you just never know what's going to happen every night. There's different dancers on stage. One dancer might want something really fast. One might want it really slow, and you never know what's going to
Wow.
happen. So
That's exciting. No.
yeah, I also love Romeo and Juliet. That's one of
Ooh.
my favorites from Prokofiev. We did that last season, and it's just gorgeous. I love it.
Oh, I'm going to have to get myself more tickets. I
You
will
will.
come to the ballet. I was wondering, as far as the flute goes and these excerpts and what you're playing in the ballet, what do you feel like the flute does for the storytelling? Since a ballet is a story and has usually a really nice storyline that you get to
Mhm.
follow with your eyes and your ears as
Right.
well.
Right. Yeah, ballet is such an interesting medium for art because there's a visual aspect to it. You can go to the symphony and listen to a Beethoven symphony or a Mozart symphony, and you can come up with your own story or whatever you think he was inspired by. But when you go to the ballet, there's a concrete thing there's a story being told that the music is matching and has to portray. So it's kind of an interesting thing to know, like, I have a character to play. Like,
Yeah.
I might be Aurora sometimes in Sleeping Beauty, and other times I'm a bird, or other times I'm just part of the musical texture for something else. Sometimes I'm not that important. So we get to be all sorts of different different characters every night, which is really fun.
You get to be animals often.
Flutes are birds very often. There's many, many examples of flutes being birds. So,
Do you have any examples for us today?
sure, yeah, so from Sleeping Beauty, the Bluebird variation is one that's super, super popular. You probably will recognize it if you've seen the Disney Sleeping Beauty. The song that Aurora sings through the forest is actually the Bluebird variation from the ballet. So Disney took a lot of the music from the ballet and used it in the movie. So now you have to go back and watch the movie and know
Yeah,
that,
I'm going to have to do that now.
yes, they stole, or maybe you need to listen to the ballet first and then go back and, like, oh, they stole that from the ballet.
I
So
used it.
they used it.
Yeah.
They used it. They borrowed
So
it.
don't forget to change your audio settings here so we
Yes.
can hear you. And yeah, let's get some examples of these
Yeah.
birds and your beautiful flute. I don't know if your flute has a name, but it's really
I
pretty.
haven't I haven't named it. I think I'm in the minority on that.
That's okay. Some people don't. Beautiful though.
I'll play a little bit of it. And then there's a duet with the clarinet after that. So,
How wonderful.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. I really like that. I'm going to have
Yeah.
to look that up and play along with that as well.
Yeah, it's really, really pretty. So it's fun to play. It's a big duet with the clarinet after that point. It starts with the flute and then it's clarinet and flute, and it's just really fun to interact with each other.
You have a beautiful low range, especially on that flute. I like it so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
Even
you.
whatever we can get coming through our screen here, I really like it. And I'm excited to come and watch you play. And I know that you have also, have you done Peter and the Wolf as well?
Yes, I've never done it with the ballet, but that is a very famous example of birds being. We are the bird in Peter and the Wolf. So I can play a little bit of that for you. It's a really difficult one, and I don't practice it as often as I probably should, but
Oh, that's fun.
where can I find it? I just had it. There it is. Okay. Okay.
the most exciting thing ever. I love it. I love it. Very
It's
nice.
very exciting.
Very beautiful. I'm like, oh, yay, yay, yay. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Thank
So,
you.
I know that you probably have some really good advice and some things for our audience and anybody listening right now and watching along with us. And I'm just wondering, especially when you're playing live music and live performing, sometimes little things happen in your playing, and I'm just wondering how you cope with like when things you're not playing exactly how you meant for it to happen.
hmm Well, the first thing is to remember that we're all just humans. And nobody is perfect. Even the most professional, perfect flutist you can probably imagine probably doesn't play perfectly every night. And even if they didn't, you probably don't remember it. You probably don't remember if he had made any mistakes. And I make mistakes all the time. Then I try not to. I try to be as prepared as I can be. You just never know what your brain's going to do to you, what your fingers are going to do to you. Maybe it's a weird tempo. Maybe someone missed an entrance and that threw you off.
Right.
So the best advice I can give to you is to just forget it. You can't go back in the past and fix it. It's like Rafiki in Lion King when he hits Simba on the head and he says, "What'd you do that for?" And he says, "It doesn't matter. It was in the past." So if you dwell on the past, it's just going to mess you up going forward. So you just, as best as you can, and I know it's so hard. Trust me, I know. Um, but as best as you can to forget about it and move on and just try and do it better next time. That's one nice thing about the ballet is it's not just a one concert and we're done. We have like 7 shows usually of a run. And so hopefully I'll do it better next time. And if I don't, then I really know I need to practice or I need to talk to the music director and apologize but I have to do my job and try and do better next time. But I think that's part of the reason why live performance and art and music is so exciting because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know like, am I going to hit that low C? Is it going to crack? Is that high G going to be out of tune? Is the ballerina on stage going to slip and fall? Is he going to get that lift? Are they going to get that lift this time? You just never know. And that's why it's so exciting because when it does happen, it's like, oh, that was amazing.
It's that human element we were talking about
Yeah.
and how there's nothing like
There's
it.
nothing like it. It's amazing. There's nothing, you can listen to recordings all day long of wonderful flutists, which is wonderful to do, but there's something different about seeing them live in person. Like, for example, you and I just went and saw Emmanuel Pahud play with the Utah
We
Symphony.
did.
It was amazing and it was incredible and so much more meaningful and purposeful because we saw him in person rather
Right.
than just listening to a recording, which I love listening to his recordings. They're wonderful, they're inspiring. I listen to
Not the
them all
same.
the time. It's not the same. It's
We
just not
watched
the
him
same.
walk out on stage and knuckle the principal violin player,
Yep.
and we
Yeah.
saw him shake the drips out of his flute,
Right.
which by the way
Right.
is normal for flute players, but you don't hear these things. We watched
Right.
his body sway to the music. We
Right.
watched him tap to change his page. We
Right.
watched what was memorized, what he was looking at. We watched him keep his eye on the conductor and
Right.
interact with the players as he
Right.
was performing.
Right. It's thrilling. It's thrilling to see that. And you don't get that from a recording, and you don't get that from even like watching a YouTube video. I don't think. There's just something cool about being in the room,
Yeah.
you know, in the room where it happens, to
Yeah.
say.
But it's fun. Like we said, we were able to kind of see each other just recently, which we
Yeah,
haven't seen each other for so long, but
I
it was
know.
so much fun to be like, hi, and also that reminded me of the flute friends that we make over the years
Mm-hmm.
and being in this, uh, I guess you could say the flute world, you can say,
Mm-hmm.
whether
Yeah.
you're professional, amateur, learning on your own, it doesn't matter. Flute players can connect very quickly. We know what each other are going through and
Yeah.
doing, and the aspirations and that. And so, have you made lifelong friends? I'm positive you have because I know
Yeah.
some of them myself.
Yeah, and it's amazing. There's people I know from the studio I grew up in that are not necessarily doing flute things now, but I consider them to be my friends, and I love to see what they're up to now on Facebook or social media or whatever. But, I've met so many people by going to festivals and master classes and going away to college. I have so many friends in really all over the world because of flute, that I consider to still be friends. I know that if I went to California, there's like 10 people I could call to go see just from playing the flute. Yeah, and it's fun to see people that I haven't seen in 20 years or however long, that it feels like we have something that binds us together.
We're very
Even if
similar
we haven't
people.
seen it. Right,
That's
right.
why we are similar people. And so that's why whoever's watching this, you're probably similar to
Yeah,
us right now. And yeah, and just it's really fun for us to get together. We could have lunch, we could do anything. We could be 10 years later and we could still
right,
pick up and just go have lunch, and it's
right.
really fun.
It's interesting to see how relationships change too, because, you and I, for example, I used to be a little student that I'd play for you in master
We're
class,
like students.
or you would judge me in a competition or a festival, and now we're colleagues and
Yeah.
now we're friends. And I could say the same thing about my teachers everywhere that anyone I've studied with is we have the teacher-student relationship, and then we go to being colleagues and friends.
Right.
And that is universal for all flutists, I think.
And I should say, we do not need to be professional musicians
No.
to be in this. I mean, I work with so many people who are learning and enjoying for themselves at home, maybe playing in their different types of venues, churches and whatever, or
Yeah.
in their backyard for their
Right.
friends, for
Right.
themselves and their animals at
Wonderful.
home and all the fun things. But yeah, just to give, maybe we should give a little bit of advice to those who are learning and basically remembering that we all kind of have the same pursuit, which what would you say it is?
We love the flute and we love to make music. And there's something that when you play the flute, it brings me joy. And I think it brings a lot of people joy. And I think you just play because you love it. You
Right.
don't have to have any particular aspirations. And if you play the flute and that's all you do is to play for your chickens in your backyard, that's wonderful. Like, how lucky are those chickens? Um, but if your aspirations are to be a solo flutist, that's wonderful too. But it's not either you've made it or you haven't. It's you can do anything you want with it, and you can just play it for your own enjoyment. It
And
doesn't
there's
have
a
to be
new challenge around every corner,
right. There's
every
always
corner.
something to learn. You're never done learning, is what I've also found. I'm not done learning. I'm sure you're not done learning either. There's
Never.
always something that we can learn, we can grow, we can become better. It's a lifelong pursuit, really. And that's something that's so wonderful about it too. I've seen students that are 5 years old be super enthusiastic. I've seen students that are 70 or 80 years old that are still so excited to learn and to try something new on the flute. And it's wonderful. The flute doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are. It just,
Isn't that
how
nice?
lucky are we to have the music?
Right. Right. It's that lifelong pursuit of music and art enjoyment that
Mhm.
enhances our life.
Right.
That's what I
And we
always
need
say.
people from everywhere, all walks of life, to enjoy music. If for me playing in the ballet, if everybody wanted to be a ballet musician, then I would be out of a job. We need people that are in the audience. We need people to come and enjoy it. We need people to partake of the art that we're creating. So even if you aren't playing, you can go enjoy. There's so much live music, like we were saying, that you can, and art in the world that you can participate in and enjoy.
For sure. For sure. Well, Allison, wow, thanks again for joining
You're
us
welcome.
here in our little bubble here at Learn Flute Online. So be sure, everybody, anybody who's listening and watching this, be sure to look up Ballet West, the Ballet West Orchestra, or any other professional orchestra near you, because I
Mhm.
want to put a plug in for you to support the arts, and not just the arts, but your fellow fluties. That's
Yes.
what we say.
Yes.
So thanks again. We will meet up again, and I'm so excited that you joined us and you brought your flute for us and played for us, and it was wonderful. And thank you again.
You're welcome.
Talking to you
Thank
later.
you. Bye.
Bye now.